What's up, guys? Let me get all the streams up. What's up, guys? I believe we're up on YouTube, and we're also up on Twitter Spaces. So if you can hear me here, that's great. And then let me get my YouTube link up so we can get that going as well. All right. So, guys, I think I got it. I tried to do this against Air Force, and it didn't really work out too well. So if you guys can hear me, that's great. And let's see how this goes. So, Utah State picked up with a big win today. I mean, quarterfinal wins are going to be, that is what they are. They're always tough. And for those that remember back in the 2018 2019, 2020 runs, those quarterfinal games were really stressful. So it's good to pick up these wins, and I'm excited that we got through UNLV. It's always felt like a trap game playing against UNLV. So being able to get through this game, and I think I don't know why this stuff matters to me, but I believe we had the biggest margin of victory in these quarterfinals. So with everything, considering everything that we just went through, I think it's a good win. So happy for the guys. Happy that we get to continue forward and get to play Colorado State tomorrow. And this is kind of this time of the year that we've been waiting for, is to see what Utah State can accomplish. What can we actually put another title on that in that trophy room? We're 2 wins away. We got a massive quad one game coming up on tomorrow. And honestly, I think this. I wasn't worried before this game because I think we would have got in anyway. But this confirms that we're going to go to another NCAA tournament, which makes, I mean, if you count 2020, every year since 2018 minus the first year with Ryan Odom, 6 of 7 years, I guess that would be. Incredible run. And yeah, so thanks for everyone hopping on. If anyone wants to kind of join in the conversation, feel free to request. I'm curious to see how this sounds on your guys' end. So feel free to request on if you want to have your voice heard on this. And but this game was kind of what I expected. It was a battle from the start. We got a comment here in the Twitter. It felt very similar to a lot of other Aggie games that we had been watching all year long, where the team scores a lot, or it comes out with so much fire at the very beginning that we then kind of lose that fire as the game goes on. Maybe I go to notifications or something because it's slowing down, or maybe it's just the whole stream slow and you guys are telling me that it's slow. But no, this good win. You're kind of cutting in and out. Okay, that's what I figured. Battle cattle. Let's see. Let me know if it clears up at all. If anyone wants to hop on and take the reins, I'm gonna try to figure out what's going on my end. And so, but yeah, I mean, this game kind of started out as we've kind of expected this year, right? This is a team that struggles to keep going in these big games. They really struggle with how do I say this? Keeping those big leads that we've built through these games. We kind of come out with swinging at the very beginning, and then it just slows down. Whether we kind of get into a point where it's we just get really confident and we can start hitting as many threes as we want, or it's a really and we saw it today. Like, the team came out swinging, was really kind of, they were testing UNLV all day today just to see if, hey, you guys are going to be under leveled or undermanned today. and we're going to see if you guys can keep up. And they tested them, and for the first 5 minutes, I thought it actually proved to be a really smart strategy. But as soon as we proved that we couldn't keep in front of these guys, that our defense was really struggling to keep up there, I think that would have been smart to pull out and go a little bit more defense instead of trying to speed up UNLV as much as we had been, because especially in that second half, they kind of really got to a point where they were just moving us around pretty easily. So, but I mean, you can't really complain too much about this one. Quarterfinal games are what they are. They're quarterfinal games, and yeah, I'm curious to see what anyone else has to say. If anyone wants to hop on and give their thoughts, I know there are a lot of us that are actually there in Vegas right now, and a good time. I wish I could have gone down. I wish we were planning on it, driving down yesterday, but it just fate did not have it for us. Family got sick, so. But I don't know. I'm curious what most of everyone thinks about this one as I refresh my page, because I want to see what everyone else is saying in the comments. I wonder if everyone's just trying to tell me, hey, you're cutting in and out, you fool. Live from the Spectrum. I don't know what that means, but anyway, again, guys. Oh, I lost connection. Maybe. Lost connection for a second. I apologize for that. Yeah, so a big win for Utah State. And I'm curious to see what we look like tomorrow, because Colorado State was one of those games where they kind of came in and really put it to us a week or two ago. Not a week or two, like last Saturday. So, yeah, I am curious to see what this team looks like in a few hours. Let's see if I can switch my broadcast to my phone. Maybe it'll help a little bit better. Mute me here. And mute me here, default. Okay, guys, let me know if you can hear me here a little bit better. But yeah, I'm really enjoying seeing this team play. It's been a while that we've been able to see these guys play at an all-time high as we did earlier in the season, and yeah, and it's a good time right now. Yeah, I figured that this would be better. I'm using my phone. If you're on YouTube, you can still listen. I'm using the microphone in here. I'll just use my phone going forward until I can figure out how to actually work this a little better. But yeah, I mean, if you look at it right now, 3 of the 4, I mean, for those of us that are curious about the top end of the conference, 3 of the 4 are Pac-12 schools. So that's fun. Good job, Boise State, for taking out San Diego. And there's a good chance that the Mountain West gets another 4 teams in this. If Boise State can knock out New Mexico tomorrow, I think that guarantees that we're going to get 4. So, yeah, if anyone wants to hop on, I'd love to hear from anyone else, their thoughts on this game. I have a hard time criticizing it, just mainly because I think that the team did relatively well, all things considered. I know that it didn't feel that great, but I do feel like this team really is banking on all cylinders right now. Except for I do think Aubin and just the 5-man. It's been a problem all year long. Is that the 5-man position has been a struggle for us. And it is what it is at this point, and it's going to kill us, or it's going to sink or swim us. So, yeah, for those that are in the Twitter chat, I switched to my phone on here, so I'll figure out how to actually do this better going forward, so I don't have the beginning mistakes But yeah, curious to hear what anyone else has to say. It's been a minute since we've had anyone else kind of hop on and give their thoughts on this one. But overall, I do think that these games are important. In our 7 years of doing this, I can't think of really, maybe last year. Last year was even Fresno State gave us some troubles last year, but these quarterfinal games aren't easy. If you remember the Sam Merrill and Mimi Esqueda years, I think we're down double digits to New Mexico at one point. So solid. That's all I have to say. It's a solid win for us, and we just keep rolling. Tomorrow is going to be another late game, and we get to experience that late game turnaround if we get the chance to play in the championship game. So, but this is the time of the year that we've been looking forward to. I'm excited to see what the guys can pull off tomorrow, and see if they can come back with a little bit of piss and vinegar after their experience in Fort Collins last week, just because that was such a bad outing by the guys. I bet they would love to kind of show up and get some payback for their experience last Saturday. So again, thanks for everyone hopping on. If you want to chat, I'd love to have you on. Feel free to request, and I'll accept you, bring you through. But yeah, good win for the guys. As Jason comes on, we might want to pass it off to him, hear what he has to say, as he got the front row experience of the herd. It's funny enough that the herd, it was impressive work that the school did, and all the other people that were able to kind of fund the students getting down there. But having 400, 500 students sit up there, the top of the rafters, I have a feeling that it is the first time that Thomas and Mac has had students sitting in the student section for that long, or sitting in as a group for that long. And if you hear a dog sleeping, my dog is currently whimpering, sleeping behind me. So, and there he is. I knew that he wouldn't pass up an opportunity to hop on. So I'm going to go ahead and let Jason speak. Jason, you got front row experience of sitting with the Utah State fans. How was that for you?
Now it's 10 years later and I'm married, and so it's been a long time. But congrats to Utah State. I think you guys played great tonight. Sloppy a little bit, but we were kind of trying to mug up, and I think False Lev looked good. I thought that Aubin had a kind of an off game a little bit, but Gadaretsi,
No, that's
I
just
was just really
Aubin.
impressed, man. Credit to you guys.
No, that's just Aubin, to be honest with you. So, I appreciate you, Jason. You're always a good sport, and hopping on with all that. It's funny that it's nice to kind of get through this game. I was curious how the guys are going to perform, especially just because how poorly we played in Vegas about three or so months ago, whatever it was.
See if they could
come back and have a little bit more of an energy, and it seemed like they were kind of
playing
a lot better in that one
than
they did 2 months ago. I think it was roughly
early
January when we did that. But always a pleasure talking to Jason. He's always a good sport. Again, if anyone wants to hop on, give their thoughts, and who knows, we may have given Jason a parting gift with Kevin Kruger here, possibly getting let go.
Thank you. I mean, like, it was bittersweet walking out of there, but we appreciate y'all, and I can't wait to see tomorrow. I think you guys are going to play I think it's going to be a really fun game. Colorado State is definitely a team that can beat you, but I think Utah State does have the tools to really. I mean, I'd probably favor Utah State 52-48. I think it's pretty much a coin flip game. I can't wait for it. I think it's going to be great.
Yeah, I mean,
it's nice to actually have go to these games and not have the stress of everything that's going on behind the scenes, or like having to want to win a championship. We did get a chat on the YouTube side. I want to make sure everyone heard that. There was another huge free throw disparity again tonight. How do the Aggies fix it? I'd love to blame it on the refs, but it's becoming a pattern. I do think that I'm curious how this sounds on the YouTube, because I just added a feature to it.
But I'm curious
what everyone else's thoughts are on this. But I do think that Utah State has a defensive problem when it comes to, they just can't. Our guards really struggle at keeping guys in front of them right now. They're just, especially at the end of that game, they were just kind of a turn mill, and they were constantly getting guys
at the rim
and getting fouled. That's a problem. I do think that Utah State tried, and this is kind of what I alluded to. If you were following me on Twitter, what I kind of alluded to as well is that I do think that Utah State was trying to kind of bully UNLV at the start of this game. They were trying to kind of, it's like, okay, we're going to take this ball and we're going to run it down your throats, and you only have 8 guys, so see if you can catch up. The issue with that is that Utah State only had a few guys who could actually do that, and the guys that did it kept getting fouls. And so then we put UNLV on the foul line, and then they had 27 free throws or whatever. I can't remember how many points he had from the free throw line. So I do think actually, ironically enough, if we would have kind of held back and kind of played a more conservative game, I bet you this game would have been a lot more lopsided than it actually turned out to be in the end. But
so to answer
that question on YouTube, I do think that that is kind of what we're looking at there. And
let's see here. Anyone else make any more comments? They look like we got a few more come through. Nothing yet. Okay. So yeah, if anyone wants to hop on, give their thoughts. I see a few UNLV fans who are there. I see a Bronco fan. Kudos to the Broncos today. Massive win for them there to get to it's a dog-eat-dog world, the bubble, and they really kind of killed San Diego State to improve their chances to going to the NCAA tournament. So, and if I'm a New Mexico fan, it's such a tough draw, that 4-5 matchup, because I bet you anything, if you ask any Lobo fan, they'd probably say if you could choose any of the top 5 teams to play in that 4-5 game, they probably would have wished it was Colorado State and Utah State instead of Boise State and San Diego State, because there's a reason why Boise State was picked to finish first in the conference. There's a reason why San Diego State is who they are, and to play them in the semifinal game is such a bad draw. And I'd hate to be in their position. So, because and our Boise State representative, thank you for the heart. I just have a lot of respect. And Jason, if you want to hop back on, you're more than welcome to. But I'll give this thought and I'll pass it back to you. Is that I just have a lot of respect for Tyson Degenhart. I think his experience is going to be a really big factor going into this game tomorrow. And I think that I don't know. I wouldn't be surprised if Boise State is playing for the conference championship on Saturday. Just especially how New Mexico kind of played against San Jose State. They didn't really play as inspired as I thought they were going to. So we'll see. Boise State's really playing really well. Obviously, I think they lost to Colorado State last week or earlier last week. So they're not playing as hot as they had been, but it's still a tough team to go out against. So, Jason, you were saying, let me pass it back to you.
Tyson Degenhardt is class personified, and as much as I hate Leon Rice, you have to respect Degenhardt. I mean, he makes Boise State more likable than it's ever really been for me. That's one point. And then the other point I was going to make about Utah State and fouling is you guys are making a lot of threes. Like when you're shooting well from the perimeter, and I don't even know if Utah State finished with a good 3-point percentage, but just volume. We were 3 of 19, like 15% from three. And when you're making a lot of threes, like I do think there's a little bit of a ref kind of reflex where they kind of swallow their whistle a little bit. And also just, you're not going to get fouled on 3-point shots as often. And so like there was a massive, free throw disparity. The only way that UNLV tonight could generate offense was by taking it to the post. And I don't think, the free throw disparity could exist tomorrow night when you guys play Colorado State, but I don't think it's going to be as pronounced. And I think that zone is going to do pretty well against Colorado State. And so I wouldn't worry about the free throw disparity as much as people are. You guys were going to win this game regardless. And it was the only thing we could do was lower our heads and try and get fouled. That's the only way we were generating offense. So the numbers look worse than they actually are. And then I'll stop. I'll jump on there because I don't want to take your thunder or anything.
No, you're good.
I'm not even a Utah State person. So
no, I appreciate it because, I mean, if any other Utah State people want to hop on and give their thoughts, but I would happily accept them. But so thank you, Jason, as you're always welcome to give your thoughts there. I do think that something that I've noticed with this defense specifically is that after a few times around the kind of the season, you get a few times, like the first time Colorado State played, our defense was vastly different from how they attacked it the second time around. So it'll be very interesting to see how they kind of come at us a third time around with this defense, because it is unique enough. But like if you have the right players, you can attack it. And Colorado State proved the last time we played them that they had the right players and they could do it easily. So we'll see what happens next for the Aggies. I mean, as of right now we're just playing for a title, which is a very nice kind of spot to be in, right? We're not kind of sitting around nervous about our situation going into the tournament. Another opportunity to increase our spot in the tournament. Our issue now is kind of we're sitting at the kind of, I would say we're hovering from 7 to 10, I think is kind of where our spot is going into this thing on Sunday. And so winning tomorrow probably bumps us into the 8-9 game for sure. A loss probably puts us into the 10, possibly could even put us into the play-in game, just because of how last year's seeding went. That's not off the table. I know we hate to say it, but it's not off the table to say that the committee could totally just screw us over and put us in that play-in game. So it's not out of the question, especially if Colorado State steals a bid and wins the conference tournament. But if we win tomorrow, I think that firmly puts us in that 8-9 spot. And if we win on Saturday, it could jump us into 7, which would be, better than an 8-9 game, because then if you win, you're playing a 2 seed instead of, one of the 4 best teams in the country. But yeah, so it's a good spot to be in. We're almost at the end of the season. There's a lot of things, a lot of positive things. I think that we should always never take advantage of the fact that we're going to the NCAA tournament again. I think a lot of us have kind of been spoiled the last 7 years of what Utah State has been able to accomplish, especially because for those of us that remember what it was like as the early years of college in the Mountain West Conference, what that was like. It really was a struggle to kind of get going, and I wondered if we would ever make it back to the NCAA tournament just because of where we were as a team. I didn't think that we were the best in that regard. So, but positive thinking right now. We're playing really well. I think winning by 13 today is, and I know it doesn't feel like a really big win, but I do think that you take double-digit wins in these tournaments any chance you can get it. And yeah, it was a solid win for the Aggies and a pesky team. I mean, they were obviously undermanned, but they honestly had been playing really well lately. They beat Air Force, and then they beat nearly. They took New Mexico to the wire at the end of the year, and obviously they lost a player in that game, so they were a little kind of undermanned since then. But yeah, I mean, you can't complain too much about a double-digit win in this tournament. So we move on to Colorado State tomorrow as a hiccup. We move on to Colorado State tomorrow, and we're playing with house money right now. We don't have to worry about getting to the title game to make it to the tournament. We just gotta play as well as we can, and hopefully we can add another trophy to this to our pedigree. And I know I've been talking about it a lot, and until someone else wants to hop on and give their thoughts, I kind of want to talk about this a little bit. So I've been writing this story, this blog that I'm working on about the best programs in Mountain West Conference history. So from 1999 to 2025, who are the best programs the school, the conference has seen. And I've been looking at a lot of data, a lot of, tournament units, tournament championships, things like that have been playing into this. And Utah State is currently, in my head, Utah State is hovering right in number 5 to number 7. I think that's kind of their spot right now. And if I kind of spoil my writing here, but obviously San Diego State's going to be number 1. Number 2 is BYU, and it's funny enough that BYU is still as high in that regard because, and looking at the data, they just have so many more tournament units than anyone else still in the conference. New Mexico, if they win a game, they'll actually tie both BYU and Utah for tournament units in that history of the conference. But then, so you got BYU, and then you got Utah at 3, and then I got New Mexico at 4. And then after that, I think you can make an argument either for, Nevada. Boise State has a good argument there for that spot as well, and then Utah State. But if Utah State goes ahead and wins this tournament, I do think you can make the solid argument that, hey, okay, there's those 4, and I throw New Mexico ahead just because of their longevity, and they have a lot more history and whatever. 26 years to kind of build that, but they still got 10 championships. It's still nothing to kind of ignore. But yeah, but that puts us ahead of Boise State and Nevada as the best additions to the conference. So there's still a lot of play for history wise, and love to kind of get ahead of Nevada in conference titles too. Because we're both tied at 4 right now. They have 3 regular season titles and then 1 tournament title, whereas we have 2 of 2. So, yeah, I'd love to, if anyone wants to hop on the chat, love to hear what you guys have to say, what you want to talk about this game, or if you want to pivot to Colorado State, feel free to kind of jump on and let's discuss. I think we really haven't talked about any of the players today either. I don't think there was, I don't know, this game was kind of like a meh, right? There was Mason. Mason played really well. I do think Mason does deserve his flowers for this game. He's played really solid lately, and his free throw shooting has gotten a lot better too. I've been very confident in him at the free throw line lately, which has been good for us for sure. And then, Ian got a bunch of dumb fouls in the first half that kind of took him out of the game. That really kind of brought UNLV back into that one. Trying to think off the top of my head of other players kind of making. Oh, Carson Templin having his comeback game. That was a nice surprise, especially with how poor that we've been, like how lack of production we've been getting from that 4 or 5 spot the last few weeks. It's nice to get Carson. He had that 3-pointer, and what it is. I'm never going to be too confident in his ability to hit a jumper, but he hit it that time, so you're going to take it for what it's worth. So big performance from him today. I think he really kind of saved us from really throwing this one away at the end of it. So Carson played really well. I do think that the end of the game was such a frustrating thing because it kind of plagues the whole 35 minutes of the game. But Dayton really played really well at the very beginning of the game, and then I do think that he struggled by the end of it. He just couldn't control the ball. So many dumb decisions that he made, like lobbing the ball to Ian Martinez that nearly got the turnover. So that was a bad play, and then he had a number of turnovers there in the last little bit that I was kind of just scratching my head as his coach probably needs to sit him down and bring in Jordy, because at least Jordy knows how to dribble the ball up the court. So there's that. Trying to think of other players that kind of stood out. I did think that Drake felt a little reserved. I don't know, that could just be a me thing, but I felt that Drake was very reserved today, and he could have been a little bit more aggressive. Sam in the comments said this was a typical Utah State win this year. Some really good plays, some really bad plays, and enough in between to come out with the victory. I have no idea what will happen tomorrow. All outcomes, I think, are really realistically on the table. And then we also had another chat from 86 Sports. You guys did awesome. This is a Vegas sports talk radio show, I think. You guys did awesome and stayed in it the whole time. Hope you all go far. So I appreciate the kind words. It's something that is, and I am the Bison. I'm gonna go through all these comments first, and I'll go back and give my thoughts. I appreciate good physical defense. You have to do that in certain situations, but yeah, if you can't do that without reaching and slapping up like our guys did tonight, I think you got to play off a little bit and just be a little bit more conservative, more conservative for longer stretches. And then Terry responded to that one. I don't think our defense was sloppy and aggressive, that they should have shot 37 free throws and 20 more than Utah State. I actually disagree. I think our defense was pretty bad today in that regard. I do think that the foul discrepancy was warranted in this game. I do think that Utah State just played really poorly defense at the end of the game, and that was kind of what drove UNLV to kind of keep it in that one. So that's something that, but like going back to one of the comments, we had a UNLV kind of radio show comment. It's something that going to these tournaments really kind of puts you into perspective of who the actual fan bases are in these organizations. I think a lot of us have poor memories or experiences with the few vocal minorities of each of our fan bases that kind of plague our perspective of each of these schools. And especially if they're like competing for the conference championship, they just kind of get even worse. But going to these tournaments, you find out that, hey, there's a bunch of these people that are actually really kind, and they're not all jackwagons. I mean, Utah State fans are exactly the same as anyone else. We have a lot of kind of funny people interacting with fan bases and really kind of irking them in some form. So these tournaments are always nice to show that, like, oh, they're actually decent human beings, fans of each of the other organizations that we're part of. So anyone else want to hop on? I'd love to kind of hear your thoughts and all that. But yeah, I mean, we're one of the Final Four again in this conference. We've proven in the last, especially the last 7 years, but since we've joined the conference, the last 12 years, that we are one of the, I'd say, I don't know, I mean, 5 best is a sure, yeah, duh. But the argument of who's better between Nevada and Boise State and us, I think if you look at, I keep going back to this thing that I'm writing. There's eras that you want to, like, if you're gonna power rank the schools and during the eras that they were in. So you got like 1999 to 2011, then 2012 to 2025. I think if you're going to look at like that window, 2012 to 2025, knowing that Utah State wasn't part of it for a year, I think you can make the argument that Utah State is number 2 in that regards, because you obviously have San Diego State, and then you have Nevada, who has 4 titles, and then you also have us that has 4 titles. Then you have Boise State, who has 3 titles, but they do have a crazy win percentage. They're always top 3 in the conference. I think they have like a 63% win percentage in that time frame, so they're always really good. And then you have New Mexico, who had the 1 title in 2012 and then kind of went dormant for 10 years until last year, and then they had their tournament run last year, and then they picked up another one this year, so they also have 3 titles. So yeah, I mean, it's fun right now. A lot of things to play for with one more year left in the conference. But yeah, 2 more games left. See if we can get a kind of a big win here on Friday night, or I guess tonight, because tonight is Friday. It's Friday right now, 12:30 in the morning. So yeah, that's all I have to say. I don't think anyone else is gonna hop on. It's kind of a late one, but I appreciate all their time. I think I've kind of figured out my method of how to make this work a little bit better than I did at the start. But we're going to keep fine tuning it. So I'm doing this. I have on YouTube, and we're also doing it live on Twitter. So for those of you that want to actually comment on YouTube, I have that option for you. And if you want to comment the way you do on Twitter, we're going to do it that way too. But I think this will create a kind of a post-game show for all of us to kind of hop on and let our comments be read, but also almost like a post-game radio show that people can call in as well. So appreciate your time. I'm going to close it here, and then we're going to probably do it again tomorrow. Hopefully it's a good one, and we hope the Aggies come out on top on that one. So again, thank you all so much. It's been a good stream, and we'll see you tomorrow. So until then.